right, welcome back, everybody. Today we are talking about the infamous Cardano. A lot of news coming out recently, a lot of bullish news as well about Cardano coming out in the last couple weeks. We're going to cover that news, why it's important, and then we're going to dive into some chart analysis and price predictions, just kind of break down where we could be headed next. So let's jump right into the news and waste no time. First of all, there's been a lot going on, a lot of news around the amount of high level transactions and high worth transactions that are occurring on Cardano. So according to this report, transactions over $100,000 in worth increased by 50 times just in 2022. And I believe that is literally just in the last 3 months, as we can see here on this chart, which is really, really cool. Now there is some speculation that there's a little bit of inflation with the transaction rate with ADA. As we know, with their DEX, there's been some kind of sketchy movement there in terms of swapping to one another. But this, nonetheless, being that these are larger transactions, still really, really good news for ADA, and it represents 99% of total on-chain volume out of that 69.09 billion that was moved in large transactions. So just something to note there. The second big piece of news is that Snoop Dogg has announced that he's going to collaborate with the Cardano NFT project called Claymates NFT, and they're going to be dropping a NFT project which will be coming on April 10th. Now, this is big news because it is, essentially merging that culture side with Snoop Dogg with Charles Hoskins and the brains of Cardano, right? So they're going to get together and actually discuss the Cardano ecosystem. I think this is more of a cool news point as opposed to kind of a fundamental news point. But we're going to get to what this actually means, right? Like, why is it interesting? Why is it beneficial that Cardano is starting to pick up some more notoriety in NFTs? And I kind of want to use Solana as our base use case, right? Because Solana NFTs sale volume 2 months ago crossed $1 billion in total sales volume, and its highest weekly trade volume was over $160 million. Now, if you've been paying attention, you realize this week that Solana actually had announced they're going to be partnering with OpenSea in April to bring Solana NFTs to OpenSea. When that happened, Solana's chart went absolutely insane, right? So there's a lot of potential transaction volume that's untapped for Cardano that has been recently tapped for Solana, and we've seen how positive of an impact that's making on Solana blockchain, on the volume coming in, and in turn its price action. So that's why I think that Cardano NFTs are somewhat an untapped resource for Cardano to start getting more eyes, more transactions, and therefore an appreciating price tag per ADA coin. But here's kind of taking a rough snapshot of where we're at right now. So just to give you an idea, right? Total volume, remember, 2 months ago. So now we're probably closer to 1.5 billion, but 2 months ago we hit 1 billion on Solana. Cardano is barely even, at $250 million because 1 ADA is barely over $1 right now. I'm not great at math, but we'll just call that about $1. 253 to $270 million in total marketplace NFT transactions, and only 1 million total sales, right? So Ethereum and Solana are multiples bigger than the Cardano NFT space. Now, if Cardano NFTs are able to do something similar to like what Solana did, we are going to see heavy price action on the back of that. We're going to see heavy volume in addition to that, and a lot of these different marketplaces are going to start getting a little bit more traction, and especially if Cardano NFTs eventually get launched on OpenSea, that is going to be a huge catalyst for Cardano coming into the future. So now that we've covered some of that recent news, let's hop over to the chart here and just take a look, maybe talk about what we've seen here recently in the last few weeks, last few months, and then we'll kind of talk about where we're headed. So to dive right in, it's pretty clear, we've been forming this falling wedge, since September. So it's been quite a long time on the downswing. If you are a Cardano holder, that hasn't gone over your head. You've been watching. So we've fallen about 75% from our highest point to our lowest point. This is our 2022 high. And I'll mark that really quick, 2022 high right here. But what we recently saw and why it was such an aggressive breakout is that we were actually able to break out of this falling wedge really convincingly, and now we're kind of testing this previous resistance and seeing if we can flip that into support. And right now we're kind of standing right on that 100-day moving average and seeing if we can now put that in as support. So it's been a long time coming for Cardano to have a breakout, but as we often say on this channel, the longer you wait, the better the breakout typically. So we're going to kind of watch that closely now for Cardano. A couple more things I'm going to note about the chart. Everyone's kind of been talking about how it's time for a U-turn to come for Cardano. Hopefully we're seeing that here. But one of these big reasons why is because it's just been so down in the dumps for so long. We're talking about, weeks and months under both the 100 and 200-day moving average. A third of a year, 4 months is what we're talking about. And it's never really happened before. I mean, it's happened back here. We just fell under the 100-day briefly for, 50 days-ish, and then we blew right by it. So everyone's been kind of waiting for that turnaround, and hopefully we got it here. The one thing that makes me think short term, we may come back and either retest the downtrend line of the falling wedge or retest a different fib. What makes me think that is we are looking pretty overbought right now. If we open up this RSI, we're looking really, really overbought here. So we came above 70 multiple times here with these big candles, if you can see that reflecting. And now we're starting to come back down and come back into the 60s. And to give you kind of a brief look into what that's done in the history of the chart, the last 2 times we've been overbought, which is here and here, we saw the largest decline in Cardano in a long time. Same thing here. So we were overbought here. We fell a little bit, but then we consolidated, right? So we ended up overall consolidating here, but that consolidation period is showing here, right? So that's kind of the area we want to be playing between 60 and 40 in terms of our RSI to get that clean consolidation period after maybe we come back down and actually retest that trend line. So now that we've talked a little bit about where we're at, let's take a look at some key price levels and maybe do some price predictions here. So let's bring out a fib retracement. Let's line this up. As you can see, right now, it's really looking like the key levels are going to be 1.24-ish, so right about here. As you can see, that's a previous resistance that we talked about. We're now trying to literally live time trying to flip this into support. If we do, we're going to, and I'll make a, I'll delete this falling wedge here. Now, if we do stand on top of this, if we flip this previous resistance into support, stand on top of here, our next level is going to be about 1.3. So that is $1.30. That's kind of our next fib target. And then we're going to look to play up to $1.60. Now, this is going to be a tough area right here. This is, I'm assuming, is probably going to be a heavy consolidation period for Cardano. If you look at how aggressively we got rejected at this resistance multiple times, I mean, you can even make the case here because we didn't stand on top of it. So 3 separate times we've been rejected at $1.60. On our way down, we desperately tried to get above that, but could not. So that tells me that if we do hop on top of this, it's likely we're going to consolidate, come up here, potentially get rejected, and have to come back and consolidate more within that $1.60 to $1.30 range. So I think short term, we're looking to just establish solid consolidation. So something, something similar to this. If we can establish solid consolidation between this range here, that gives us a really, really big chance of taking another leg up, because you do need to remember there have been a lot of Cardano holders just waiting for this rebound to come, and they're probably going to start selling off. We're seeing some red candles here as well. But we do need to keep that in mind, right? When even though we've been beaten down for so long and we're likely to have a nice rebound, we have to remember there are folks that have been waiting to sell this off, and there are quite a few ADA tokens out there. So I think short term, we are looking ideally to create a consolidation formation between $1.60, $1.30 right here. And then as we push higher, if we can confirm that range, stand on 1.6, then we're looking pretty good in the coming months. But if we zoom out and just look at, so that's short term, but to kind of just look at long term and get a little moon boyish here, if you will, let's take a look at kind of some of our larger targets. So obviously, everyone knows that infamous $3 marker. It looked like we were going to push through that back in August, September, but it didn't happen. And now we're obviously, way back down here. So the question becomes, how long does it take to get back to our all-time high? Do we get back there? I think eventually we do. I think it's going to take Cardano quite a bit of time. I mean, with such a high max supply of 45 billion, already having, almost a $40 billion market cap, it's going to take some serious news, some serious price action to move this thing. That being said, we've done $3 before. That's about, 69, $70 billion market cap. I honestly think our best long-term outlook right now is to stand on top of $4.50 and then play between this range. So I think that's our absolute best pricing range, best target range, at least for the mid to long term. I think short term, like I said, right now we need to just establish a nice consolidation period in this window, and then eventually we're going to come up above these fibs, and that previous all-time high is going to give us some serious trouble. But short term, we're looking between $1.60, $1.30. Longer term, I think we could see anywhere between $3.50 to $6.07. I mean, it really, at this point, Cardano needs to start putting out some additional news or some additional updates or something, right? I mean, I think we're kind of sensing a lot of impatience around this project, and we need it to get some legs to see this kind of movement. Because to move at this high of a market cap, you really do need some legs. So thank you guys so much for the video, or thank you so much for watching the video. I really appreciate it. Drop a like if you got some value, and thank you. We'll see you in the next one. Appreciate it.